Well, greetings. Thanks for joining me. Today I'll go back to my Black Witch roots and tell you guys a really easy spell to do for attracting the love or something from someone you want. This is really a white magic spell. Now, it's not a Wiccan white magic spell, it is a Black Witch's white magic spell. So let's just get that super clear. Of course, I'm using my style of pentagram. I'm using 2 red candles, 1 white candle. You'll have a photo of yourself and a photo of the target, the person that you're looking to attract. I have a ritual atame or a ceremonial knife on the table as well. And of course, I'll have my notes about the client if it's about a client, or my book of shadows sitting there for sure. Now, the time of day that I would do this spell would be during the witching hour, a witching hour. So if you're in the southern hemisphere, and by the southern hemisphere I don't mean the south where I am right now in New Orleans, I mean in Australia, the southern hemisphere, the witching hour can be 12 midnight. But generally in America, for example, you would consider the witching hour 3 a.m. So it's really up to you if you can wait around for that time. Of course, right now when I'm demonstrating this to you, it is daytime. So you might need, the reason why I say this as well is because you might need some additional candles burning in the background, because you'll need some other lighting. You can't have TVs on or your phone or other lighting on in the room, because it does affect the energy that you're trying to build up for the spell. Unlike a Wiccan or a typical witchcraft or even a hoodoo type of spell, you don't have to engrave these candles. You don't have to write anything on them. You don't have to put any personal concerns on the candle. If you want to, you can use some type of love oil. This is the Black Witch Coven love oil. Or you can use some powder, but you do not have to use any such powder or oils on anything in this level of ritual. It's just not necessary, okay? Now, you could be looking at this and thinking, how does this even work if we're not anointing candles and so forth? Well, the key to black magic is working in a space that has already been well consecrated. It's been dedicated to the works of darkness. So this entire altar space and everything that comes in this space has already been dedicated for these magical workings. So by the time I have the 2 candles, one representing me, for example, and one representing the target, they don't need anything more, because the purpose of these, once they sit on my altar cloth, they're ready spiritually for the workings that are about to occur. So all I need to do is, to begin the ceremony, is that I will light the white candle that is basically an indication that I'm ready to begin. I'm going to light the white candle, and I might say something like, I'm calling down to the universal source energy, to my demons, to my spiritual guides, to my sources of power. Something like that. There'll be my own mantra that I will say just to really start this magical spell casting session. The white candle is to remove all the negative energies. The negative energies isn't removing the demons from the space. It's removing the energy that I don't want in the space. Anything that is trying to stop the success of the spell. So that's what I'm really doing, or thinking, by the removal of negative energies. I'm not thinking the removal of demons or darker spirits, so forth, obviously. The next thing I'm going to do is really focus or meditate on the intention. I've got to clear my mind of all my mundane activities and really begin to channel in on my own feelings, on my own emotions, and try and channel into the emotions of the target. Now, what I'm showing you here is I'm working with beads, because when I call into, for example, if I'm calling into Lucifer, if that's who I'm using, which I am, I'm saying a mantra, but I'm saying it using these beads, these pray beads, if you like, because they have a certain amount of beads on there, and as I can easily say a mantra to get into state while I'm working through each bead. So there are typically 108 beads on these necklaces, and that is the perfect amount of time and mantras that I can say to actually get my energy into state. Next, you'll put the red candles on top of each of the photos. Once again, the idea is to connect with each of the energies, with each of the individuals. So if this is you, it's really connecting with what you want and your desires, your needs, your hopes for this relationship. And of course, you're going to connect with the target, their hopes, their wants, their needs, and how you can actually connect with them, how you can get to them, how you can energetically connect with that person. So sometimes in other types of magic you'll use different personal concerns or objects, but with black magic it's all about mind control and connecting with them psychically. So to begin the actual connection between you and the targets, or yourself and the target that you want, you'll light the candles and you'll really focus on channeling the energy between the two people. Sometimes this can take between, say, 5 minutes if you've been doing it for a while. Other times it can really take you up to half an hour to really get into the headspace of that other person. The second part of this spell involves removing the photos from under the red candles and placing them together. The idea behind this is that you're binding the two individuals together to help each other focus and be obsessed with each other. Now, if it's you're wanting the target just to be obsessed with you, obviously. And obviously you're quite obsessed with the target, or you're thinking about the target. So no matter which way you look at this, you can't go wrong. But I like to face my photos so the faces are together, face to face. And I also like to roll my photos into what I call a scroll. And a scroll is quite an ancient object, so it's quite symbolic as well. And when I roll it, I'm rolling it towards me. That's a little bit witchcrafty, but it's symbolically drawing the love, or drawing the attraction, or drawing the other person towards you. I'll then roll the twine around the photos 9 times. And once again, this isn't that important. It just depends on the style of magic you've been taught, or the system of magic you've been taught into or brought into. And then I just like to do a lovely little bow, but you can do whatever you like. If you want to do witches knots or just one knot, that's perfectly fine as well. That part of it doesn't matter. This part of it does matter. This is where we're going back into our mantras or our meditation or our mind control, if you want. Remember, the goal of this spell is to have the other person obsess about us, to be attracted to us, to desire us. And so we'll go back into a meditative style state where you're going to think about all of those mantras that you want the other person to be doing or thinking about you. You want them obsessively thinking about you, romantically wanting you, having sex with you. Whatever you're wanting, this is what you're going to go through and say again and again and again, like you're trying to get inside their mind. In fact, if this is you and you're wanting someone to think about you, I would do this until all the candles extinguish and then the spell is over. So most of this spell was about the meditation and the channeling. I will meditate in this spell for between half an hour to an hour, depending on how long it takes for me to connect to the energies of the individuals I'm doing this spell for. But if it's yourself connecting to another person, maybe you can connect to their energies much faster. If you're brand new to this, it could take you much longer to do. So I would generally recommend that if you're using these volative style candles, that you meditate and focus on this energy until the candles extinguish, okay, until they completely melt out. And that can sometimes be as quick as 15 minutes and can be as long as sometimes 2 hours. Candle burning is another whole subject within itself, but it gives a good indication of what the spirits want to do with your spell.